Welcome to my channel, I'm greedtolead. You can catch me on Twitch almost every day, and now have fun with the video. Welcome YouTube to the hero overview over Leofric, the newest addition to the Hypogeans. We'll start off with his ultimate ability. His ultimate ability spawns a totem that taunts enemies, the highest attack rating enemy to be precise. It also has additional effects added by his furniture. We'll get to those in a second. The base health of the totem is based on Leofric's attack rating. It is 1150% of Leofric's attack rating as health. If it gets destroyed, the result will be a permanent attack reduction for the attacker. By up to 25% of the attack rating will be lost, depending on level. If it isn't destroyed and times out, it shall deal 350 damage when it ends. That one is kind of irrelevant, since unless you're playing like a not invested Leofric, but it gets changed up with the furniture. The furniture will allow the health regeneration for a set target that is taunted to be reduced by 90%, while also negating them to gain energy, and when a totem is destroyed, it will deal AoE damage 350%. That's the same amount of damage as it beforehand. Without the furniture, if it ended. This time around, if it's destroyed though, to nearby enemies, and also stunning them for 3 seconds. The 9 out of 9 is basically the thing that would make the ultimate like really fucking nice. Before that, it's also already a nice taunt. And the health regeneration can be niche and applicable. The main issue that I'll explain later on is that he has slow energy generation, which means that one is kind of slow to be usable for that main reason in PvP at least. And he's kind of niche in where you can actually end up using him in PvE. And that's all due to his like main core ability or most interesting ability, besides the boss fighting part of his kit, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah. As you saw already, that's the furniture. 3 out of 9 energy or health regeneration reduced by 90%. They're not allowed to recover energy, the taunted target, by the way, just to clarify once again. And then if it gets destroyed, 350 damage to nearby enemies. Yeah. Oh wait, it deals 350 to all AoE, and then the taunted one gains by timing out 350 as well. Yeah, okay. Let's continue. Next ability, Hellworm. Hellworms deal a set amount of damage and causes the enemies to lose energy, and then enemies that were dealt damage lose energy recovery. That ability is relatively quickly applied into battle and can be kept up by twins to constantly cycle it each 6 seconds. Which is going to be important for the next part. That one is like a nice bonus to have, but the really big part, I mean, that's nice for PvE, but yeah, it's not like something that is like a make or break for him. It's just an addition basically that you gain for free, which is obviously nice though. And then that's the big part for Abyssal Expedition and bossing. Enemies struck by the ability Hellworm shall receive 25% more damage from Leofric's attacks for the following 4 seconds, which obviously is not the main breakpoint, but you can see where that one is going. The next one, enemies struck by the ability Hellworm shall receive 25% more damage from all attacks for the following 4 seconds. That's basically the budget option that you would get him to, but the following 4 seconds means that there's around the 2 seconds downtime if you include twins in that composition as well. And without twins, obviously, it takes longer for him to cast the ability Hellworm again, and it will be higher than 2 seconds. And since you want to keep that up almost all the time for bossing, you're looking at the plus 30. And plus 20 will be usable, but you don't gain full value. You only gain like 4 seconds of value and missing out on 1/3 of the value basically. Enemies struck by the ability Hellworm shall receive 35% more damage from all attacks for the following 6 seconds, which is basically keeping it up permanently using twins. So that's really POC. So for sure, like a really interesting one for the upcoming Abyssal Expedition. And hunting grounds as well, most likely. So something you should look to get to Mythic and then at least unlock his plus 20, most likely get his plus 30 if you're big into Abyssal Expedition and so on. For PvE that is not as impactful. PvE not needed. PvE, the big part about him is his last skill that we'll cover in a second. Before we get to that one, we'll talk about Unmasked Horror, which is a fear, which could theoretically be like a really big part about him. The issue is that that one isn't instant and takes around 6 seconds to be used, I believe. Yeah, I think it was around 6 seconds and then 10 seconds to cycle again. If I'm not mistaken, not 100% in that one, but it takes some time into battle to be used. That means it's not an instant ability that can be utilized in comms for that purpose. So also rather slow. As you can see, all those abilities were rather slow. Nothing like instantaneous, but yeah, debuff effects, and that one, the issue is that he doesn't get enough energy. And the most important part, Leofric and his most injured ally become immune to all damage and attacks for 5 seconds. While immune 50%, okay, and then it's just the damage that they dealt is going to be healed. While immune 90% of the damage dealt by the injured ally is converted into their own health, which is obviously a nice heal. But the main part is the immune to all attacks and attackers for 5 seconds. And as you can read, or as you may have noticed already, attackers for 5 seconds. It's not just immunity, it's immune to attackers for 5 seconds, which means he's untargetable. Therefore, you're losing 2 units out of your squad. So the last remaining 3 units will basically instantly die as a result of that one. Or not instantly, but yeah, depending on the unit, they might survive, but you're basically screwing over your backline. So that limits the uses in which he can be used. If you want your main carry to ramp up and don't care about all the other units, that's an option. The main one that comes to mind is obviously Lucretia. And I can see him being used in Lucretia, but the one takes effect around 4 seconds into battle, which could be too late, like 3 to 4 seconds into battle, which can be too late for Lucretia. Depending on a battle, that might not help Lucretia out, if that makes sense. Like if Lucretia dies too early on, then that won't enable her, since it's not an instant one that just starts off while you go into battle, similar to Alna. It takes like a few seconds for him to use the ability, and also has to hit the right target, which shouldn't be the big issue for Lucretia, obviously, but yeah. Aside from Lucretia, really rare usage, some might think about Invincibility Stacking, but that doesn't actually work as you might have guessed, since he overrides the worst invincibility basically over Alna's invincibility, and therefore costs some anti-synergy of that one. And I mean, he could increase it for 2 units, but yeah, it's wonky, and I can't see that one being like the main way to go. It will most likely in like a ton of cases just end up being stacking and not stacking while being timed after another, but at the same time, and then it's obviously pointless to have that one in. So yeah, anti-synergy in that one. If you can get his ultimate, ultimate looks good. Hellworm's obviously for bossing nice. Aside from that, the energy reduction obviously not too bad, not too shabby. The fear is nice, but also not instant, so not the main thing. The invincibility really nice. Also, for CC comms, like losing 2 targets and then having the CC backline destroyed thanks to perfect disguise basically means that he can't be used for the CC factor really in CC chaining comms, because they'll just end up dying. So most likely Lucretia carry for campaign. PvE users, I'm not too sure. I can see him having like a place there for sure. And then Abyssal Expedition and bossing, thanks to the ability Hellworm combined with signature item, which would need investment into Mythic at least, which is also the one I recommend, like getting him to Mythic and then plus 20 if you have the plus 30 wretches lying around and you care about Abyssal Expedition bossing, then get him up to plus 30. That is my recommendation for Leofric. Overall, an interesting character with another invincibility added into the game. Not as strong as Hypogean by any means, but yeah, will most likely find his niche place. Most likely with Lucretia, since he's investment for a lot of players, since yeah, a lot of them care about bosses and Abyssal Expedition and hunting grounds and so on. So yeah, I'd recommend building him to Mythic. Thanks a lot for watching.